Information discussed in this podcast may be sensitive in nature to some listeners. Listener discretion is advised. South Carolina sees millions of visitors every year, many of them to the coastal town of Myrtle Beach. And Myrtle Beach does have some of the nation's most beautiful beaches, and it also boasts some of the best family fun around. But all that fun can come with a price. When you put 1 million people in one town on a hot summer day, things can happen. Last week, we talked about the baffling disappearance of Johnny Lamar Brown, a dependent adult that requires assistance with his daily care. In August of 2012, Johnny was 43 years old, and this was the first time he had ever been out of the state of Georgia. Johnny walked away from the Seacrest Hotel and was never seen or heard from again. Heather Elvis has a tragic story. The 20-year-old girl would disappear, and 2 people would be arrested and charged with a crime in connection to her case. But still, to this day, Heather is still missing. Today, we are going to talk about Todd Massey, a young man from Ohio that was last seen in Myrtle Beach back in 1992. But his car would be found abandoned in Virginia. We will also talk about the case of Shanta Johnson, a super sad, tragic story of a little girl, lost in the system and now lost in the world. Another child born that never really had a chance in life. Shanta was in foster care and only 3 years old when she disappeared. And we'd like to know, where are Todd Massey and Shanta Johnson? And welcome back to the Where Are They podcast, a bonus episode. This is the second episode of the Myrtle Beach Missing series. And the 2 cases we are talking about today are taking us back to the year 1992. This year, 2022, then marks the 30th anniversary of both of these cases. And sadly, no real updates or news has really come to light in that time. Todd Massey. Todd James Massey of Ohio found his way down to Myrtle Beach in June 1992. Todd was 23 years old and, unbeknownst to his parents, had started dabbling in drugs. Todd's case is extremely limited in information. Extremely. One report says he lives in Akron, Ohio, but his missing person file lists both Boardman, Ohio, as an investigating agency, along with Summit County, Ohio, which is the county that Akron is in. Boardman is about an hour from the city of Akron. I'm not fully sure why both agencies are listed, possibly due to where his parents resided, and it's also noted in his file that his father worked as a minister in the mid-1990s and resided in the state of Indiana. It's difficult with the little tidbits of information to try and connect the dots here, to try and construct a timeline or even form a story of what happened leading up to Todd's disappearance. We also don't know why Todd traveled to Myrtle Beach or if anybody was with him. There was some talk about Todd traveling to follow the Grateful Dead band, but I found nothing more to confirm that. However, I did confirm that the Grateful Dead did perform at the Charlotte, North Carolina Coliseum on June 17th, 1992. Charlotte is a couple hours north of Myrtle Beach, so it's possible that the band was in that area in the month of June that year. And on June 16th, 1992, Todd was seen at a drive-through ATM in Myrtle Beach. The next day, June 17th, 1992, Todd's car was found abandoned in the woods of Sussex County, Virginia, about a 5-hour drive from Myrtle Beach. Authorities discovered the car and noted that the license plate had been removed. They did find some of Todd's personal belongings in the car, but there was no sign of Todd. And the fact that the license plate was removed caused concern for authorities. Now, looking at the map, Sussex County runs right through Interstate 95, which of course is the main highway thoroughfare on the East Coast. If you're on the East Coast of the United States, you're familiar with I-95. Sussex County is just west of Virginia Beach and just south of Richmond. The car was found in the woods, and Google Maps does show that that area of Virginia is exceptionally rural. No one knew any reason why Todd would have drove to that area. No one knew of any connections that he might have had there. Authorities speculated that maybe he was seen at the ATM and then subsequently robbed and harmed, while whomever did that disposed of his car. Or had he left Myrtle Beach to head to Charlotte, North Carolina, as the Grateful Dead concert was the next day, and then something happened to him there? Did it have anything to do with his possible drug abuse? Or had he driven himself to that location? But why? And why remove his own license plate? Then we have the biggest question of all. Regardless of what exactly happened, where is Todd James Massey? Law enforcement has kept this case open for years and has kept a watch on his social security number, which has not been touched. This June will mark the 30th anniversary of Todd's disappearance. Todd Massey was born on September 5th, 1968. He was last seen on June 16th, 1992, when he was 23 years old. He would today be 53 years old. Todd is described as a Caucasian male, 5 foot 6 inches tall and weighing around 150 pounds at the time of his disappearance. He has blonde hair and green eyes. Todd also has a 5-inch surgical star right above his navel. Anyone with any information at all on the whereabouts of Todd James Massey is asked to call the Summit County Sheriff's Office at 330-643-2111. Shanta Johnson. Shanta Marie Johnson was only 3 years old in 1992, but her 3 years had already been traumatic for her since the very beginning. Shanta was born on January 3rd, 1989, and her biological mother was a drug addict. Not only that, it was learned that Shanta herself was born addicted to cocaine. The Department of Children and Family Services would remove Shanta from her biological mother and put her into foster care. By the year 1992, Shanta and a brother that would be born right after her were put into the care of Susan and Willie Johnson. The Johnsons were hoping and planning on adopting both Shanta and her brother. In early 1992, however, the Department of Children's Services opened an investigation into the Johnsons for possible abuse. Shanta had been taken to the emergency room for some injuries, and the nurse felt that the injuries could possibly have stemmed from abuse. She reported it to authorities. The investigation also meant questioning the babysitter for the Johnson family. And the sitter said that she too had had some concerns. She said she was recently changing Shanta's diaper and noticed a burn on her backside. Shanta, when asked about it, told the babysitter it was hot grease. The sitter said she asked Susan about it, but Susan said that it was actually the result of a sunburn. And for some reason, the children were not removed from Susan's care during this investigation. On July 19th, 1992, during a shopping trip around 3:30 p.m., Shanta was reported missing. Susan reported her missing, saying that they had been shopping in the toy department of the Kmart at the then Briarcliff Mall when Shanta just vanished. She looked around for her in the store thinking maybe the 3-year-old just wandered off, as they tend to do, but she couldn't find her anywhere. Authorities took to searching also, and they were able to pull surveillance footage from the Kmart, which showed them something surprising. Susan had entered that Kmart store at 3:30 p.m. alone. Shanta was not with her. Susan maintained her innocence, however, and stuck to her story. Investigators also learned that Shanta's biological family just happened to be having their family reunion in Myrtle Beach that very weekend. They considered the possibility that someone had abducted her, somebody from the biological family. Her mother was still in jail on drug charges, but there was a whole network of extended family, and they were all right there in the area on that day. Definitely seems like a logical theory, except all family members were interviewed and ruled out. This put the focus back on Susan. The day after Shanta disappeared, on July 20th, Shanta's little brother was removed from the Johnsons' care and put with another family. He would go on to be adopted. The disappearance allegedly happened at the Briarcliff Mall on the north end of Myrtle Beach, which has since been renamed the Myrtle Beach Mall as of 2007. It is not publicly known where the Johnsons lived, but investigators began a thorough search of their property. They would come to believe that Susan had harmed Shanta, buried her on the property, but then would end up taking her remains to another location. Susan was charged with child abuse, but Shanta would never be found. That poor little girl never stood a chance. Shanta is described as an African American female with short black hair and brown eyes. Shanta's birth name was Reed, so authorities want to note that she may be going by the name Shanta Reed if she is out there. Shanta was 3 years old in 1992. She stood 3 foot tall and weighed around 40 pounds. She was wearing a navy blue t-shirt with the cartoon character Mickey Mouse, white shorts, and white sneakers with blue trim and rabbit designs. If you know anything at all about the case of Shanta Johnson, Shanta Reed, please contact the Cumberland County Sheriff's Office at 919-323-1500. The 4 people we have covered in our Myrtle Beach series, Part 1 and Part 2, Heather Elvis, Johnny Lamar Brown, Todd Massey, and Shanta Johnson are all still missing. And all were last known to be in the Myrtle Beach area. I so appreciate everyone who has listened to these stories. You can always reach me with any suggestions or feedback on social media, or you can email me at canwefindthem@gmail.com. Thank you so much for tuning in to this episode. We will be back again next week with another unsolved missing person case. And until then, stay safe and hug your loved ones.